Hello, this is some guy in Hawaii with the final, in quotes, spreadsheet for the next Borderlands hunt. The hunt is a Borderlands tradition, a community-run scavenger hunt wherein players try to obtain a copy of as many legendary and unique items as possible in a set amount of time. It is also, more importantly, a charity event to raise money for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. The next runs from the 15th to the 24th of August, 2025. Now, I've been making custom hunt spreadsheets for tracking drops and planning out hunt strategies since 2021. This finalized spreadsheet for the upcoming hunt includes changes and additions to the sheet made from the last Borderlands 3 hunt in September of 2024. It also incorporates minor changes to the rules and scoring by the hunt organizers. If you've been playing with the earlier test version of the sheet posted a few months ago, do not use that one for the actual hunt. The new ones, both a Google Sheets version and an Excel version, are linked in the comments below. That's why I'm doing this video. So let's go over the features and changes and how to use the spreadsheet. First, unlike previous spreadsheets, this one is available either in Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel. You can use either one. They have separate Google Drive links. I assume most people will use Google Sheets as not everybody has Microsoft Excel, but it's up to you. If Excel, download the Excel version using the link provided. If Google Sheets, you will not or should not be able to make any changes to the master sheet linked in the comments below. Instead, make a copy to your own Google Drive and use that for the hunt. I'm going to go over the Google Sheets version first and foremost while noting minor differences with the Excel version as we go. The layout of the spreadsheet is mostly self-explanatory. Here's a quick reference card for most of what we are looking at, but don't panic. I'll go over the really important, potentially confusing stuff. The sheet is supposed to make your hunt easier, not more complex. Basic use is really simple. We can scroll down and up the sheet at will. Everything above this column header row stays frozen in place. Scroll down the sheet and find the item to claim. Mark an X in the far left cell for that item and hit return. This should turn the first 3 cells in that row green. This tells us at a glance that anything in green is stuff we already have. At the same time, the spreadsheet will automatically update the running total score and item total up top based on the point value of the item. This score is your current hunt score. Remember though, this is only for what we claim on the spreadsheet. If we are competing officially, we still must claim each item on the official hunt website to include clipping video of our drops and linking the clips. If there's a discrepancy between one's official hunt score and the spreadsheet score, there may be an issue with one or the other. Additionally, a lot of people don't claim items officially as they go. Many clip the drop, but don't go to the website to officially claim items until later in the day, usually off stream. If you're the type that does that, you already know the drill. Use the sheet to keep track and then claim officially later. If you're new to the hunt, that is an option you may wish to consider. That's the basics. What's all this stuff though? I already explained the running totals for score and items. This is simply the hunt name and dates of the event. This is the max score and item count. If we get everything, we will score 950 points and have claimed 370 items. This version cell shows the date and time in Hawaiian Standard Time. That's my time zone. I last updated the spreadsheet. If for any reason I have to correct or add data, the presence of changes will be reflected here. Now, I don't expect to need to do that. The hunt admin and I have been pretty good at verifying stuff, but if I do, I will note it here and possibly put out a video if it's a big enough change. Main thing is if you download or make a copy several days before the hunt actually starts, you might want to check back on Google Drive to make sure you still have the most current version. These 3 long entries, numbered 1, 2, and 3, briefly explain the 3 primary ways I recommend sorting the sheet. Number 1 being the default sort. I will explain this in more detail when I go down the columns. Speaking of sorting, this row of column headers here is how one normally sorts the spreadsheet. You click on the little arrow in any given column and then you choose A to Z, or perhaps Z to A, up to you, to sort in that order by that column. Notice that when I do that, I get a little pop-up. What is that? Okay, this sheet is set up to prevent accidental changes to the data. If we deliberately or accidentally attempt to change anything in any cell except these over here on the far left, the cells where we check mark when we get an item, we get this little pop-up warning which says, hey, protected cell, are you sure you want to do that? If the answer is no, if we made a mistake, click cancel and any unwanted changes will be undone. If we meant to do whatever we did to include sorting the data on these column headers, which you will periodically want to do, then go ahead and click OK. Okay, these protections will hold even when you make your own copy. The downloadable Excel file is a little bit different. I assume if you're an Excel user, you know your way around locking and protecting worksheets. Every time I go back to set up a Hunt Excel spreadsheet, I run into issues trying to protect the sheet while allowing not just claiming items, which is easy, but sorting, which for some reason is more complex. I have locked all the cells in the worksheet except for these cells in this first column for claiming items. You will not be able to change anything in any of the other cells without first unprotecting the sheet, which you can do because there's no password protection. As of this post, however, I am still unable to get the sheet to allow sorting on this row without first unprotecting the sheet. It drives me nuts. I originally left this row of cells unlocked, but since I still can't sort on it while the sheet is protected, I opted to lock them. Okay, so if you want to sort on any of these columns, you must first unprotect the sheet, do your sort, then turn protection back on. You can also just turn protection off, but then you risk making accidental changes, which, if it happens in the point value column or the total cells up top, can completely screw up your score. I recommend leaving protection on most of the time. Now, if you know how to fix this issue and can get it to allow sorting while protected, please let me know so I can unlock the cells and allow protected sheet sorting. Okay. So, column by column, left to right. Already mentioned the column where we claim items. Late in the hunt, you may want to sort here when the greens drastically outnumber the unclaimed items. Okay. PV is point value, 1, 2, 5, and 10, depending on how difficult the item is to acquire. Okay. Name, of course, is the name of the item, but there's a bit more going on here. And M means the item is Mayh3m locked. If there's a number, that's the minimum Mayh3m level. A pair of these carets mean the item can drop from 2 different sources. 3 carets, 3 different sources. If there's a number, 27 plus I believe is the only number, that item will not drop from that source unless the vault hunter is at or above level 27. Lastly, and this is new for this hunt, as long as we have the Google Sheets tab selected or the Excel spreadsheet window selected, when we hover over the name of any item, we get a little pop-up window. Most of this is redundant info available in columns to the left. However, having it all right here in one spot without the need to scroll over, and especially when there's more than one source, is much more convenient. Plus, this also includes drop rates. Now, the format is roughly consistent. It's not perfect, but it's pretty consistent. First comes the content. Base is base game and includes proving grounds, takedowns, raid bosses, and events. DLC content is listed as Moxie for the Handsome Jackpot, GL and T for Guns, Limit Tentacles, BOB for Boundary Blood, Psycho for Psycho Creek, Arms Race for Arms Race, and Director's Cut for Ava's Mysteries. Next is the name of the farmable source in all caps. Sometimes this includes additional info like unique or named enemy, but none of that really matters. Hammerlock's legendary hunt items are noted, but those only get us the Becca, which is not a hunt item. Collecting all claptrap parts gets us a baby maker, but that can also be farmed from 2 other sources. And while completing Zero's Target's Opportunity gets us a Layuta, that can also be farmed from a Tremendous Rex in System of Slaughter. Next is the map location of that source. Then comes the listed drop rate or rates for that item from that source. Some have multiple rates depending on Mayh3m level and sometimes a specific Vault Hunter. At the very end will be any mission or content that must be completed before that source can be farmed. If the mission is all in caps, it's a main story mission to include DLC main story missions. If upper and lower case, it's a side quest. Sometimes it will clue you in when there are multiple requirements or unusual requirements for unlocking farming. As mentioned, any item with multiple legitimate sources has 2 or 3 of these caret symbols after the name. These notes duplicate that feature with more info. Every source has a separate line allowing you, the player, to decide at a glance how you want to go about farming something. For example, the Baby Maker can be farmed from Alacritus Vanda in the System of Slaughter, Broodmother in the Pyre of Stars, or received as a reward for collecting all the claptrap parts. Broodmother is a true rare spawn with only a 1 in 4 spawn chance, and then a 10% chance to drop the Baby Maker. Because of this, many people prefer the Cistern farm, even though Broodmother, despite rarity, is a very fast farm. But again, it's up to you. One drawback to Google Sheets over Excel. You'll have noticed that when I first hover over an item, the note box is this almost squared rectangle that doesn't conform automatically to the layout of the contents, especially when there are multiple entries, multiple lines. We can quite easily grab this corner and stretch the box to better fit and display the separate lines. However, this formatting usually does not last when moving to another cell or even moving away and then back. Okay. In Excel, I can stretch the box and it will maintain that shape, and each and every note box can be different. and that will stay that way after saving or copying a file. I've done this for every single pop-up in the Excel version. So the Google Sheets pop-up layout can be a little annoying, but it's still better than no pop-up notes at all. Then there are two hidden columns you can unhide if you really want to. One contains a rarity code if you really want to or need to sort by item rarity. The next has item mayhem level info, as some items are only farmable at or above certain mayhem levels. Most won't need to mess with that column at all. Okay. OFC list stands for official list and sorts the list into the same order as it appears on the actual hunt website, assuming nothing has changed since the last hunt. That list groups items together as follows: non-legendary uniques are first, then vanilla legendaries, then DLC legendaries, then takedown exclusives, then mayhem locked items. Again, assuming the order of the official website hasn't changed, this may help one find a hard to find item on that page. OFC list value essentially does the same thing, but alphabetically by group. So the DLC legendaries are first, then Mayh3m locked item, T takedown items, non-legendary uniques, U, and then vanilla legendaries. It's kind of redundant and most people will ignore it. The next three columns, labeled 1, 2, and 3, are the ones I recommend using. Column 1 is the default sorting column. It's how the spreadsheet is sorted when you first get it. As it says in the top row, column 1 sorts items in order by when an item's first source's map is unlocked while playing through contact. Okay, all of Shiv's drops are listed first because his map, Covenant Pass, is the first map we unlock. This is followed by everything in the Droughts, then Ascension Bluff, then Sanctuary, the Marina Outskirts, and Promethea, and so on and so forth. So this sort mirrors how we normally encounter each source, or at least the map on which they are located, as we play through the story. This, however, includes mayhem and level-locked items that aren't available necessarily as we progress through the story. Additionally, all DLC items come after all the base game items, except for the event items, Broken Hearts, Bloody Harvest, and Cartels, which are at the very end. Column 2 sorts the same as column 1, except that all the mayhem locked items are moved down the list to after the final story mission, at which point we can turn on mayhem and farm them. So all those Shiv and Undertaker and Mincemeat and Truffle Munch mayhem locked items get moved down. Okay, it's also why the Rhina, a loot enemy drop, of which Amber Lamps is only one example, is the first item listed, followed by the 2 Broken Heart event drops. We can turn on the Broken Hearts event at game start, and hearts will start appearing on the Droughts map. This sort, however, still places all DLC material at the bottom after all the base game stuff. Column number 3 duplicates 2, but goes one step further and moves all DLC items except the Ava Mystery ones up here to right after we reach Sanctuary, because all DLC material except Ava's Mysteries can be accessed as soon as we get to Sanctuary. Now, I suspect most people will stick with the default column 1 most of the time. After that is material already in the pop-up, the farmable source or sources of the item, their source locations, and then the associated mission or enemy type plus and other notes column on the very far right. That's how we use the sheet. Now, some notes about the information. Most of this info, 90, 95, 97%, is pulled from Loot3m and the Borderlands wiki websites. Outstanding resources you should all have bookmarked if you are uncomfortably serious about Borderlands. There are instances, however, where my experience and understanding differ from those of those sources, and I diverge from their info as I deem necessary. The early Mayhem locked items I've already mentioned are a good example. Loot3m does specify that Shiv only drops common shotguns and can't drop world drop legendaries, but doesn't mention specifically that the Ripper and Bouncy pair can drop only in Mayhem. It also does not mention the same issue with Truffle Munch and Mincemeat. An even better example, however, is Azalea, the Witch's Brew side quest boss who drops the Rat Commander class mod and Victory Rush artifact. Per Loot3m, both have a 15% drop chance, plus the Victory Rush should only drop at level 27 and above. In my experience, Azalea never ever drops the artifact in normal mode, regardless of level. Once I turn on Mayhem, however, the longest I've gone before it drops is maybe 21, and it usually drops in my turn, so basically 15% is listed. By contrast, in normal mode, the Rat Commander drop rate appears more than likely to be between 30 and 50% or higher. She drops that class mod like candy in normal. So once in Mayhem, though, it then feels more like the listed 50%. And that's about it. Okay, download or make your own copy, mess with it, let me know if you spot any issues, and good luck on the hunt. Don't forget, while we're all doing it, for the kids of St. Jude, stay safe, and thanks for watching.